Hey everybody, it's Jimmy and Bill. So we got another good one today. Okay, we didn't pre-read this one or anything, so we're gonna read it as we're recording, see what it says. But this one is about lawmakers want to ban Wall Street from buying up more single-family homes across the U.S. So the title says a lot.
Yep.
Okay? Open door, there's so many companies that came in, especially here in Florida. I felt like every other house I was, going to was owned by a company. I'm still running into houses that are owned by a company.
Oh, so this is addressing iBuyers too? Like that's what, okay, so because I haven't read it yet. So when I hear this, for me, this kind of goes into institutional buyers where they buy and sit and hold and then they turn them into rentals.
Well, that too. So basically it's a two-stage prong. Everybody's saying that we're going to become a society of renters.
Right.
Because houses are way too expensive for first-time home buyers. Even if you're able to get in the house, you're struggling. Rates are really high. Inflation is rampant. Taxes and insurance, don't even get me started on that stuff. But big companies are coming in, and some of them are buying it and they're renting it out, or some of them are coming in and buying it and then doing some paint rehabbing.
Right.
Because they have the ability to wait a little bit.
They have the capital to hold.
Yeah, they have the capital to hold. So what they might do is they may rent it at the beginning, and then when the market is right, turn around and sell it.
Right, and I see that a lot.
Yeah, how many houses have you sold that were owned by companies?
A lot.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when I do inspections, and I say, hey, this is wrong, this needs to be fixed, they're like, yeah, a company owns it. They just don't care. They're like, okay. Yeah, next.
Next. Exactly. That's exactly what they do.
I'm lucky. They have so many homes, like I have to go there and call an 800 number to get let in.
Yeah.
So what Congress wants to do is they want to ban them from buying, I think it's 10 homes, but we'll read the article. So go ahead, get started. In the meantime, if you guys like these kind of articles, do us a favor, consider subscribing. It really helps this channel. It motivates us. Share, save, and hit the bell notification. Let's get started.
All right. Wall Street firms in recent years have spent billions aggressively scooping up single-family homes with cash. But a growing number of U.S. lawmakers and state officials want to put an end to the controversial practice. Democrats in the U.S. Senate and Housing Representatives has sponsored legislation dubbed End Hedge Fund Control of American Homes Act, which would force large owners of single-family residents to sell their swath of homes to family buyers, the Wall Street Journal reported.
All right, let me ask you a question.
Okay,
and I want everybody's opinion too on this one. Comment below on this question that I'm going to answer. Do you think it's fair that they go in and buy a whole bunch of homes? Do you think this government coming in and saying, hey, you're not allowed to own more than 10 homes. Anything over 10 homes, we're either going to tax you so heavily that it's not going to be worth it to you, or you have to sell it. Do you think that is fair, in your opinion?
I have to know a little bit more about it, but just off of the cuff, because I've only looked into this a little bit and it's kind of out there. But so for instance, let's say I own 10 homes. I don't qualify. It doesn't pertain to me. Like if I own 12
I haven't read the whole article. I don't know, and I haven't read the bill either.
Because I'm not a corporation.
Yeah, but I'm talking about, but say it does affect you. Say you own 11 homes. I mean, do you think it's fair for the government to say, hey, you're only a corporation, you're only allowed to own so many homes. You have to sell them or we're going to tax you. I'll give you my opinion first.
No, I mean, I don't mind giving my opinion,
because
it's just my opinion, but I like to make decisions off of what I know. It's just, this is a double-edged sword in my opinion, truthfully, because while I think there needs to be some sort of government oversight to protect the consumer,
okay,
like, you know what I mean? Like,
I agree with that.
If I'm just coming in here because I have billions of dollars and I'm just like, haha, sorry little guy, you're out, and I'm gonna buy this house now, you can rent from me for the rest of your life because I have the capital. I don't agree with. I think that's wrong. But then the flip side of that coin is, capitalism. It's a business. This is business decisions, and they are there to make money. So like I said, it's a double-edged sword. Do I want more government overreach into personal decisions? probably not. I don't want them telling me what I can and cannot do within reason. But if it seems to be a problem, then, like I said, so maybe this will address it in the article.
Well, you know what? My opinion is pretty much your opinion. I think this should, like you said, there should be government oversight, but I don't think the government has the right to tell a corporation, hey, I know it's a good business decision for you, but you can't do it. You know, I just don't think it's right. But you guys comment below, okay?
Yeah, please, it would be a good, I mean, I've been around the world to different areas, and the government has a lot of power to tell business owners and corporations and different things what they can and can't do, and those places are typically not the best well run, you know, and they're not as flourished as our area, you know, and then the United States. So we'll see.
Yeah, here goes. Should the rule pass, corporations would have to sell all the single family homes they own over a 10-year period, at which point they would be barred from owning that type of property entirely.
Whew.
They would be barred from owning.
See, now that I don't agree with. Like, this is why I say it's a double-edged sword. Like, it's almost like the pendulum. Why does the pendulum has to swing so far to one side?
Go for it.
All right. Separately, a Republican-backed bill in the Ohio State Legislature aims to drive out institutional owners through heavy taxation. Lawmakers across Nebraska, California, New York, Minnesota, and North Carolina are among those proposing similar laws, according to the Journal, arguing that investors at the helm of hundreds of thousands of rented out homes have driven up prices for families' homes across the country. I would agree with that, though. On that portion of it, they're scooping up every house that comes on the market, polishing it, and then they turn it into a rental. Okay. I mean, but that's going to drive prices up. They're using the leverage. I'm just thinking this out loud, right?
Right.
They're using the leverage. What's happening is you're taking a property off the market, right? And it's not a one-for-one transaction. Because think about it. If I sell my house, I put one on the market and I take one off the market. The institutional buyers are purchasing a house and they're taking one off the market. There's no, you know what I mean? It's not an equal trade.
Let me ask you a question, but isn't this still supply and demand? So like, say they buy a whole bunch of houses and they want to rent them, okay?
Yep, which is what they're doing.
Which is what they're doing. But if the demand is not there, you know, and then they drive prices up too much higher, the people are going to say, hey, it makes sense to buy a home. Why pay this heavy rent? Say the rent, I think that I read the average mortgage payment is $2,600, okay, in the United States. So for, you know, if the rent's $2,500, for an extra $100, I can own the house. So it's the supply and demand thing.
Right, and then eventually, they're going to press that bubble to the point of where it pops, and then the institutional owners will start to sell off some of their maybe less profitable properties, and then there'll be a point when they can flip them over.
And I've seen, okay, and we've both seen this, okay, companies go in to buy houses, okay, and I won't even mention the names, but they went in, they bought a bunch of houses, and they lost their insurance. Like, I know a few of them, I do the inspection, and they sell them for like 100, 150,000 under what they have into them.
Right, so those iBuyers, if you will, were, you know, they were buying things too high, too hot. And then they thought they could polish, and then they were riding the wave of the market upswing. And then they got caught in the shorts with the downswing. And they had way too much inventory. So, for some of those things that we're discussing.
Yeah, and I know one company, I just did the inspection on it, I know they're losing probably 160, 170,000 on this house.
Right. It happened a lot, so they have had to restructure a little bit. Despite the increasingly unaffordable housing market, where mortgage rates are higher than inventory is low, first-time homebuyers are now also presented with the challenge of competing with Wall Street-backed investment firms in their all-cash offers, the Journal reported. Investors ramped up their spend on single-family homes during the peak of the pandemic days in 2022, when more than 1 in every 4 properties of this kind went to wealthy corporations. Wow, that's a lot.
It is a lot, but that's capitalism. That's the United States.
Right. So this is why I say it's a double-edged sword.
So let me ask you a question. If say they make a mistake and they overextend themselves because they're a profitable company, then is everybody that's going to writing comments saying, hey, you know what, screw the corporations? Are you going to be saying, oh, I feel bad for the corporations if they lost their shirt? They're taking a gamble. In order to make money, you have to take a gamble. Okay, so the corporations are taking a gamble on buying all these homes, and I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, if the market changes and the demand's not there, they're going to lose their shirts.
Right.
And then is everybody going to be like, oh, poor corporations? No, I doubt it very much, you know?
No. In late 2022, The Real Deal reported that institutional investors set a staggering $110 billion aside to purchase or build single-family rentals.
That's nothing. The government sends that out overseas in one day.
Exactly. Of the sum, $30 billion was earmarked for a new development, and it marked enough to construct some 400,000 new homes, according to The Real Deal, which found that the investment titans Blackstone and KKR were among the players in the $4.4 trillion single-family rental market.
Oh, that's interesting. The rental market's $4.4 trillion? That I didn't know. Okay, I did not know that one.
Rental market is huge. It makes a lot of money, but think about it. Like, you know, these investors are purchasing these homes. So let's just go with 400, you know, the average, $450,000, you know, because that's kind of the US average, which is climbing. But they spend $450,000, they rent it for, let's say, $2,200 to $2,600 a month. They're not getting their money back.
Yeah, for a long time.
For a really long time. So they're either going to hold, or they're going to recoup some money from the rent, and then they're going to sell it, and then they're going to get their money back. I
still believe that real estate is the best hedge against inflation, against everything,
of course,
for wealth management. You know, that's my opinion. I always think.
So publicly traded home buying firms, Innovation Homes and Tricon Residential, as well as wealth managers and pension funds such as Cappers and Investio, were also gearing up for a real estate shopping spree at the time, per The Real Deal. And I'm sorry if I butchered those names.
Yeah. In response, lawmakers have been critical of companies' home ownership. The firms have argued that renting out single-family homes gives renters the ability to live in a desirable neighborhood where they could otherwise wouldn't be able to afford, the Journal reported. So basically, it's true. There's some people that I know that live in really nice neighborhoods that I know they're renting, but they even told me straight out, they're like, I wish we could own this house. We love the school district.
Right.
We have friends in this neighborhood, but we would never able to afford this house. And the funny part about that is, on this particular house that I'm thinking of, it is corporate owned. It is corporate owned. So yeah, they might be paying $2,500 a month for rent, but at the same time, they would be probably paying, with taxes, insurance on that house, probably $5,000-6,000.
Right.
And don't forget, at the beginning, on a mortgage, you're pretty much paying all interest.
Right.
So if they're there 2-3 years, maybe that savings of $25,000-3,000 could give them time to save some money.
Right.
So this statement, in my opinion, is correct.
I agree.
Go for it.
And though most calls to block large companies from buying up homes comes from Democratic officials, some Republicans have joined the crackdown, including Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Abbott wrote on X last month that this corporate large-scale buying of residential homes seems to be distorting the market and making it harder for the average Texan to purchase a home. This must be added to the legislative agenda to protect Texan families.
I don't agree with him. You know, I just don't agree with him. I think you should let the free market contribute, you know? The whole thing is, if companies come in and they're buying those areas, there will always be somebody else building in less expensive areas, and you might have to move.
Right.
Okay, it's just, I really do think that, just because you can't afford an area and a company could, I don't think it's fair that you penalize the company.
Right, I do. Like I said, I do
The
agree with
company
that.
is people. People own the company.
Right.
People work for that company.
Right, there's employees for that company. There's contractors that work for that. There's thousands of people that work for these companies. It's
the maintenance people for those
yeah,
houses.
it's not like it's one person owns,
Yeah.
700,000 homes.
Or it's publicly traded.
A lot of these are publicly traded companies.
So
that we're talking about.
if you have this argument, about housing, and they own too much, why don't they argue about Amazon? Okay, everybody
Right.
shops at Amazon. What's the difference whether
There isn't.
what's the difference that these companies are buying up all the houses and selling them or renting them out? So what's the difference? Why doesn't the Congress go after Amazon and say, hey, you're killing the mom and pop shops all over the place because you guys make it too convenient, too cheap, and too easy to buy things and return things.
Right.
So you should be in trouble, but I don't hear any calls for that.
Right. It's no different. At the end of the day, I really would love to see, and I know this article's been talked about before, I've heard it on some of my podcasts that I listen to, but I would really love to know how much exactly when they purchase these homes, how much is actually getting taken off the market and held.
Yeah, I never saw those numbers.
You know what I mean? Like, how many are they really taking off the market? And I'll give you an example. So when iBuyers were a thing, like a really predominant thing, and they came to the market, everybody was panicking. Oh, look at the iBuyers. They're making it too easy. Realtors are going to, go away. Nobody's going to do this.
Why don't you explain what an iBuyer is? Because some people might not.
Yeah, they're institutional buyers, but we're talking, those are like the next door type buyers.
But who are the sellers? People that just want to get out quickly.
Correct. They're just wanting to get out. Then it's like everybody kind of pushed the panic button and thought that this was just going to come in and sweep the nation, and these open door type platforms were going to just come in and decimate the real estate market in general, because they were buying these properties low, but it really boiled down to about 1% of all homes sold in the United States.
Yeah, it never happened.
And it just never happened because it was such a niche market. These are typically people, and I've sold a lot of homes to Open Door and Next Door and things like that, and it helped out a ton of sellers because they needed to get out of their house.
Yeah.
And otherwise they didn't have 3 months, they didn't have 2 months to wait for the house to sell.
Yeah, and I know a lot of those companies aren't buying anymore because they know the market.
Right, and they did get overextended, so they're holding.
They're holding. Go for it.
Though surveys reviewed by the Journal have shown that close to an equal number of voting age Democrats and Republicans would be in favor of passing legislation blocking Wall Street firms from buying homes, none of the bills in Congress or any of the state houses have reached a floor vote. The bill currently in the House and Senate would cap the rental home ownership at no more than 50 homes for many companies, according to the Journal. The laws would also require that the firms to sell off any homes they've already owned to get them down to that 50. See, that I just don't agree. That's that pendulum. It's so swinging to the other side. Like, I don't agree that would be, let's say I owned, what was it, Blackthorn, publicly traded company. Government comes in and says, hey, Bill, I know you got a good thing going right now, but you need to sell all but 50 of your homes. So you got to sell your 170,000 homes that 200,000 homes, whatever they own, because that's a company's huge. Think about this for a second.
Go ahead.
Think about this for a second. What's that going to do? I have to sell the house. Well, what happens to the poor people that are in the house? I don't mean poor people like they don't have money. I'm like the poor family, the person. What if it was me? I'm in there and they go, you're evicted. We're not renewing your lease and you've got to go.
Yeah.
Because we're putting the house for sale. You have the option to purchase it. Well, I can't purchase it. So now I have to go hunt for a rental. But now there's no rental, so the rental market goes through the roof. There's a lot to this.
There's a lot, and they don't think about that stuff. The people don't really sit and think about it. And me, I'm like, hey, I'm for everybody to own a house. I'm for everybody to.
Right.
But you really need a fair system. If something is not fair, you know, it's kind of bull, you know, railroading people, you know.
Right.
Like, there was one article that I read, and I saw it on TV also, and then domain. They wanted to build a road or something for the public access, but it had to go across this person's house. Long story short, it would save a lot of time, a lot of headaches, and the government paid the fair market value for that piece of land.
Right.
And I think they paid extra and took care of the person. But situations like that for the government saying, hey, you know what? We need this land because this highway is going to help out, you know, hundreds of thousands of people. And it's, you know,
and to change it's going to cost us $10 million. So it's cheaper to just, which it's called eminent domain.
Yeah. So, I mean, I agree with some stuff like that, but at the same time,
yeah,
we don't even have to continue this article because I just think...
It just starts talking about rhetoric and the same stuff.
I just think is supply and demand. Let the free market be the free market. It's my opinion. Yes, is it cool that a company comes in and just buys every house in the neighborhood? No, it wouldn't be cool, but I have not seen that. And nobody ever showed me that that happened. Because the companies I deal with, they bought a house in, say, Palm Harbor, then they got one in Zephyr Hills, then they got one in Brandon. They're not clustered together.
Right. Because
they pick and choose what houses.
Right, they have to fit what it's called a buy box. They have to fit a buy box to meet the numbers so that it makes sense, so that when they do sell it off, because they typically do sell it off over time, but it's just, I just don't see it. There's a small company, they're not, I should say, they're large in our market, but they're small compared to the companies that we're referring to, and they have purchased a tremendous amount of homes, and they're just a normal person like you and I. They're not a publicly traded corporation. They just they started with one house and the next house and the next house, and over a 30-year period, they've amassed a very good rental inventory and sale inventory, but they've helped a ton of people get in and out of homes.
And sometimes people need to rent in order to save enough money to buy.
Yes, I would love to see what percentage that we currently have with these publicly traded companies that are being referred to in this article, how much they actually pull off the market. How much do they take off the market annually? And what percentage overall of sales transactions and real estate they actually make up. And I'd be willing to bet it's very small.
Yeah, if anybody has that information, post it below. But tell us what your opinion is, okay? A lot of people are like, oh yeah, screw the corporations. But before you answer that question, think about it, okay? Just think about it and tell us, do you think it's fair the government's going to dictate to companies saying you could only own this, or only do this, or only have that much? Give us your opinion. That's today's video. I greatly appreciate you guys watching. Do me a favor, there's gonna be another video either here or here. Watch that one, it's a really good video. And we will talk to you in the next one. And don't forget to subscribe. Thank you and have a great day.
Appreciate it, thanks. See you next time.